Hello. In this video, we'll be working on checkpoints. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to want to do for this checkpoint is create a new scene for it. So we can click on the plus button right here. We'll do a 3D scene. And we can just name it checkpoint. And we'll first want to provide it with a mesh, which I've created and provided in the project on the GitHub. And also, I just have a link for it in the description. And it's called checkpoint and it's in the meshes folder. And before we drag it in, actually, I'm going to want to double click on it, go into our revolve animation, make sure it's set to linear, and re-import it, because it's just going to be, this checkpoint text is just going to circle around while the game's playing. So that's should be good to go. Then we can add a area 3D, and we'll want to make sure that it's looking for the player. And we can add a collision shape. And what this area 3D will be is when the player collides into it, it'll set the checkpoint for them. And we can do a sphere shape for the collision shape, make it a little bigger. And yeah, that should be good to go. And just so you guys know, this mesh already has a collision for it already, so we should be good to go with that. And finally, we'll add a marker 3D. We'll call it spawn point. And this will just basically be where the player spawns if they come back to this checkpoint. So yeah, that should be good to go. And we can go ahead and save it into our objects. We'll make a new folder, call it checkpoint. And checkpoint.tscn should be good to go. And what we'll also want to do is have some kind of notification appear for when the player collides into the checkpoint. So I'm going to create a new scene, and we'll do a user interface, and we can just call this notification container. And what this will do is eventually, once we have other things to display, it'll notify the player for that. So when the player collides into a checkpoint, it'll say checkpoint reached. Later on, we'll have coins, and if the player tries to finish the level without having enough coins, it'll say something like, not enough coins collected, please find them all before you reach the end, something like that. But anyways, what we can do is just have it fill the entire screen, this container, and then we'll add a margin container just to give some margins to this notification. I'm going to have them be pretty big, so I'm going to set them to 32 and the theme overrides. And then we can just add a label to that. We'll call it notification label. Sorry about that. And we can add some label settings to it to begin with. We'll do size of 32, and we'll just darken the shadow. I'm just gonna slide it over. That's fine. You can mess around with it, but it doesn't really matter as long as it's dark. Then we'll set it to the bottom middle. We'll just write something like notification for now. And we can go ahead and save this now. We'll save it in the GUI. We'll call it notification container. That's fine. And so we can go ahead and start adding these into our level now. So we can we'll kind of create like a checkpoints folder in a sense. So we'll do a new node 3D, and this will contain all of our checkpoints, hence the folder kind of comparison. But we'll just call it checkpoints, and then we can go ahead and throw our checkpoint in there. And make sure to do the TSCN and not the model. And yeah, we'll go ahead and throw it in just like right over here. We'll do level design later, but what we're just doing right now is we're just trying to get all of our components for our levels first, And then once we have all those good to go, then we can start shaping our levels around those components, if that makes sense. So that should be good to go. And then in our canvas layer, we can go ahead and add our notification container. And that should be good to go. And we can just go ahead and hide it for now. And what I want to do now is just play the game and make sure that our animations work correctly. And it looks like they don't yet because I forgot to do one thing for us. And that is head into our checkpoint mesh. We can right click on it, do editable children, and that basically lets us edit whatever children are in this scene that we have, which I don't want to open up right now, but yeah, any children that are in the scene. We'll click on this animation player. We'll click on this little button right here, which lets us autoplay. So basically this animation, this revolve animation, will play as soon as we start the game. And because we set it to loop earlier, now there we go, we have a nice little animation. So next we can start adding scripts to our checkpoint and to our notification container to start getting things hooked up and ready to go. So let's add our checkpoint scripts onto our checkpoint node. This is all fine. And we can go ahead and give it a class name of checkpoint. And we will need some references to our collision shape into our spawn point. So I'm just going to control drag those in. And we'll also need to emit this body entered signal. This is a mistake from earlier, so let me disconnect that. But now we can connect that. And we can do collision shape.3d.set deferred disabled to true, because we want to disable our collision once we run into it so the player doesn't keep running into that and having the notification get set off. But we need to use this set deferred function instead of just doing collision shape.disabled equals true, because if we didn't, the editor would tell us we need to use this instead. Now I have some more info on that in the description. But we also want to have our level manager have a signal that is emitted for when the checkpoint is reached and have things listen for it, like our notification container. So we need a reference to our level manager. So let's dive back into our level 1 and hop back into the checkpoint script and control drag our level manager reference in. And we'll just do level manager dot checkpoint reach dot emit, and we want to make sure that we pass in our spawn point dot global position, because that's going to be our new spawn point, and this is basically our parameter for the checkpoint reach. So we can head into the level manager now, and we'll do signal checkpoint reach, and let's make sure we pass in a new position for our spawn point. We'll do a vector 3, and we want the level manager to listen for that and have stuff happen. So we will do our spawn location is now going to be equal to that new position. And we also want our notification container to do things too. So we'll do checkpoint reach, and we'll go down to our notification container. Oh, and we got to make sure that we have a script on it. So let's add a script. This is fine. And now we can add that into it. And all we can do now is we'll do show. And then we'll wait like 2 seconds. So we'll do await get tree.create timer, and this is going to create a little timer that counts down for us. We'll do 2 seconds, and then timeout. And now after 2 seconds, we can just hide it again. And so now, if we run into our checkpoint, it should let us know, and when we die, it should set us back. Let's try it out. There we go. I gotta make sure we change our notification, and it set us back to our checkpoint. But I made one mistake, and that is here. Let's make sure that we get a reference to our label. Oops, it's because I added the script not in the scene itself, but in the level scene. So let's detach that, go into our scene, look for our notification container. There we go. Now we should be able to. And we'll just do notification label dot text is equal to checkpoint, excuse me, reach. So we can go ahead and try it out one more time. And there we have it. And one last thing is, I'll put up right here if you want to tween it. The main thing is on the third line, that's how long it'll hold basically this await for. But it's very similar to what we did in the last video for the tweening. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned in the next episode. We'll be doing coins.